whom I'll announce about shortly. After that, we are going to have artik, what is called as devotional offering of lamps to the Lord. So those who are the artik sponsors can come to this counter as soon as the class is over. We'll make the arrangements, and His Holiness Romapada Maharaj is going will help us worship the lordships, and then all of those who are sponsors can stand here and perform accordingly. And those who have not already asked for sponsorships, please feel free to do so. You can just come and talk to our volunteers. I think it's $21. You could pay that and offer some nice devotional offerings to Lord Jagannath. So with this, after that, after the Artik, we will be having at least 5 different performances, cultural performances, where there will be dance, there will be music, and there's going to be a grand finale also. So please stay tuned and be relaxed for the next 1.5 2 hours. We'll make sure you feel comfortable. We have the food, the dinner for you. We have the drinks for you. So just enjoy and stay back with us for the next 2 hours. So now we're going to have our next event. We are going to invite His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj on stage. Uh, Roji, can you get that chance? I'll quickly introduce His Holiness Romapada Swami Maharaj. He is the one of the revered monks from International Society for Krishna Consciousness, or ISKCON. ISKCON is a spiritual organization founded by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada back in July 1966. And very soon we are going to celebrate the 50th year of the organization. Just, I would say, 3 months from now was the first time when His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada first landed on the shores of US. So there's going to be a big festivity to celebrate 50 years of Srila Prabhupada first coming to the US. So there's going to be an ISKCON 50 celebration. So that's about ISKCON. We have a worldwide organization of almost 500 odd temples, centers, community projects, and many events and activities going on. Hospitals, colleges, schools, eco villages, you name them. And in the north, we have a very powerful presence with a lot of temples, and His Holiness Romapada Maharaj is taking care of the northeast region for ISKCON as an organization. He's especially the GBC for New York, New Jersey, and Midwest. And ISKCON of Bloomington has been very wonderfully inspired and groomed under his guidance. So we'll welcome His Holiness Romapada Maharaj to the stage by loudly chanting Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol!
I've got my own microphone. I'm going to stand because I've been going with the parade the whole time. It feels good to stand. I've been asked to speak about the significance in general about the role of spiritual functions or spiritual festivals, and I thought I would speak on 3 particular items. One is something that I heard Srila Prabhupada, who is our founder Acharya, explain when he was young, growing up, there wasn't any public gathering that did not have as some part of it, this is in India, some part of it was Mahabharat Katha, or Ramayana Katha, or Bhagavat Katha, something in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a natural infusion through sound vibration of honoring the personality of Godhead whenever you have gatherings of persons that come together. I appreciated very much the comment made by our mayor. It sounded Canadian. Canadian view is valuing various ethnic backgrounds. America is seen in a different way, as a melting pot. You put in this and you put in that, and you turn on the flame and stir it, and it becomes not even khichdi, it just becomes soup. Where, on the other hand, the not only the values, but the ways of extending one's appreciation of our relationship with the Supreme Person, just like these young girls were doing. Very nice, huh? From childhood, they're learning to honor Govinda with these beautiful prayers, and those features stay with you throughout your life. We were discussing just this morning in our St. Louis temple one little passage from Srimad Bhagavatam where Prahlad Maharaj says, Komara acharat pragyo dharman bhagavataniha, which means from the tender age of childhood. Kumara is 5. Bala is before that, and Kumara age is just after that. So part of culture should be Bhagavat Dharma. That was Prahlad Maharaj's statement so long ago, and it still is appropriate today. And those impressions stay with one, as I mentioned. Many of you, looking in the audience, many of you are from India, or children born of parents from India. So you'll all know the story of Gajendra Moksha. Gajendra, who was an elephant, who in his previous life, he was a king. So you may be a king in this life, but you may be an elephant in your next life. Who can say? Because in his life as a king, he was practiced to recite certain stotras or prayers, not just mechanically, but very devotionally. He was a very elevated person. Circumstance had it that Agastya Muni became angry and he cursed him, you become an elephant. So he became an elephant. But when he was in danger, as sometimes happens in life, there's reversals. You're going this way and all of a sudden going that way. Here he was, an elephant with a crocodile hanging on his leg. And he fought and he fought and he fought. And he was losing strength. But the crocodile wasn't losing strength. He knew he was finished. So his mind went to those prayers. Super Soul, the Lord of the Heart, Paramatma, reminded him, just as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Mataksmitir Jnanam Apohanam Cha, Sarva Shicharam Hriddhi Sanivishto, Mataksmitir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. Krishna is in the heart and he gives remembrance or forgetfulness or knowledge. So Krishna reminded Gajendra of those prayers. And he recited those prayers. And Lord Vishnu came and protected him because of that remembrance, because of that spiritual culture that he had invested in his previous life. Same applies for us. So that culture, Prabhupada was remarking, that culture has diminished. Now when there's a public festival, I don't need to describe what it's like. It's something else. One of my bases of travel is from New York. And every year, for so many years, there's been an India Independence Day parade. Over the years, the attendance has gone up and down. They know now how to make sure they have really good attendance. You want to guess? They invite some Bollywood stars to ride on one of the floats, and so many people come. Instead of worshipping Krishna, they worship something else. That's the modes of nature. According to Bhagavad Gita, there's faith and worship as intrinsic, natural activity for the soul. So to spiritualize society, we need festivals such as this and participate in them, not just socially, but devotionally, from the heart, just as those nice songs the girls were singing. So that's one part of my message. I'm going to present 2 more. Um, during the very early days of the Hare Krishna movement, um, the first temple was in New York, as was mentioned. Prabhupada arrived in September 2000, 1966, 65. He arrived in Boston Harbor. But the first temple that he established was in 1966 in New York. And then shortly after, he was invited to go to San Francisco and attend some function. And then the second temple was in San Francisco. So one of the devotees had gone to a import store. You know those places that sell imported items, and they saw these little forms that were forms of Lord Jagannath. They didn't know what they were, just an Indian little something. You've seen them. Little, all in three, in one wooden piece. And they brought them to show Srila Prabhupada. Immediately, everyone was surprised. He just paid his obeisances. He got from behind his desk and paid obeisances and turned to one of the devotees, who was artistic, and said, "Can you make a carving 3 feet tall, like this? We'll have a big festival. Make a big cart, 3 big carts." So they did it. Within a matter of months, Jagannath deities, from somebody that had never even seen Jagannath before, carved Lord Jagannath, Baladev, and Subhadra. And another devotee made carts like this out of railroad ties and whatever they could find, because they didn't have funds then. Just donated pieces of lumber and made a cart that the canopy would go up and down, just like here. It was amazing. 1967. And from that, there was such a wonderful, successful event in Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. Prabhupada then declared, very expansive visionary Acharya, said this festival should be held all over the world in our major centers, New York and London and Australia. So we did it. And now Jagannath Rath Yatra is coming here to Bloomington, Illinois, excuse me. And many of you, of course, are from Indian families, but I particularly was noticing the number of people that aren't from Indian families. And it's nice. And this nice meditation booth where people that don't know anything about what this is are getting a little introduction to a daily practice of meditation on the holy names of Krishna. How wonderful. How wonderful. The spiritualization, so the topic I was asked to speak about is the importance of festivals such as this. Coming together, honoring Bhagavan in various forms and features and manifestations. It's so important for the broad society. We can do whatever we do in our home. That's our daily sadhana, our daily devotional practice. And then from time to time having functions like this, public festivals, where persons come together from different backgrounds and honor the Supreme Lord. It's very pleasing. It's pleasing to us because it's pleasing to the Supreme Lord when he sees Kathayantas chamam nityam tushanti cha ramanti cha, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. It brings happiness to the devotees of the Supreme Lord because it brings happiness to the Supreme Lord. We're his parts and parcel living entities. So this Jagannath festival has spread worldwide, and in so doing, it's part of the culture. It becomes part of the culture. So I'll just, the third thing, I'll share this with you. Just like this chanting the girls were doing, or as we were doing in the parade, and I'm sure there's going to be some more, there was a period of time when this chanting was something that was done just in our little center, which was a storefront on the Lower East Side of New York. In fact, that storefront we still rent and conduct programs at 26 2nd Avenue in Manhattan. But at some point in time, one of the devotees, one of the leading devotees, asked, "Is it okay if we do this chanting that we're doing indoors out in the public?" The devotees asked, and then Prabhupada said, "Yes, very good. Let's do that. Get a permit, so when we go we won't have any difficulty." So they got a permit at Tompkins Square Park. Tompkins Square Park is not a noble place. It's a very humble place. But it's a New York City park. And the devotees gathered together. Prabhupada sat under a very old, huge elm tree and chanted. A sadhu in New York City chanting with his young American followers for 2 hours, chanting and dancing, and people wondered, what's this? Listen carefully. When they stopped, Prabhupada had been seated underneath that elm tree, and then he stood very calmly like this with his hands folded in front of him. There's a photograph showing that. And you want to know what the first words that Prabhupada spoke? Say yes. Yes. Okay. Here's what Prabhupada said. "I've not come to teach you something new. I've only come to remind you of that which you have forgotten." Imagine if you were a world acharya, what would you say the first time you spoke in a public forum like that? What a wonderful thing. I'll say it again. "I've not come to teach you something new. I've come to remind you of that which you have forgotten." That means to say that each of us are spirit souls, part and parcel of the Supreme Soul, Ma me vangsa jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, eternally connected to the Supreme. And within that soul, there's a dormant relationship of love with the Supreme. But we've forgotten. Not just people from this culture or that culture, from all cultures. We have a natural position of loving relationship with the Supreme, but we've forgotten. And so the message is, remember that which we have forgotten, our eternal loving relationship with the Supreme. And in this festival, the chanting of the holy name predominates, because it's the primary means. In this age, there's a little booklet that indicates in each of the major world religions the role of calling God's name, the role that has. Everyone has it. I could tell you many stories. I'm not going to do it because of time. It's within the teachings, but in many cases even the teachings are forgotten and so forth. So the awakening of that which we have forgotten is the purpose of such festivals. So we're very happy to be present with you as you're remembering Krishna, and specifically Lord Jagannath, the Lord of the universe. And I promised I wouldn't talk too long, because there's so many other activities. I'd like to thank you all for coming, and look forward to seeing you again next year. Bring your friends. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Hare Krishna. We'd like to express our gratitude to His Holiness Romapada Maharaj for a very sweet and effective message on this festival, and we'll do it in our traditional style. By now, most of you know. What do we chant? Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Okay, so now a few more announcements before we move on to the cultural segment of our programs. As I mentioned, we have a wonderful stall there. Of course, we are going to have the artik and then the cultural thing. So while I make the announcements, those of you who have sponsored for artik, I think there's a list of 4 or 5 people. Uh, if you know, I know a few names. I am going to know the full all the list because I have not provided the list. But nevertheless, those of you who are already sponsored for Arctic, please come here. And those of you who would like to, just come and talk to the volunteers. You can participate in this wonderful ceremony. While the Arctic preparations are happening, another reminder about the 2 stalls that we have. We have a stall for kids face painting and henna and tattoo. We also have a wonderful stall with a lot of books and novelty items like t-shirts, caps, mugs, and umbrellas. So as you all know, to bring this event to you, we would like to see if you could help us in some way by taking some of those novelty items. And there's a free gift for all of you. You can pick it up at that particular stall at some point in time. You can just step out and come back to see to witness the things. And there's one announcement from McLean County India Association (MCIA). They do have a stall there right under this tree. They're going to have a 5K run/walk, which is a fundraiser for the Nepal disaster relief. The run is on Saturday, 5th, 18th of July. I'm sorry, Saturday, 18th of July, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. at Tipton Park at the GF shelter. For additional information, the table is there, as you can see behind the seating. So we would like to proudly say that ISKCON of Bloomington is very enthusiastically supporting and participating and cooperating with such amazing uh, initiatives. ISKCON as an organization itself has been very, very instrumental in helping the Nepal victims. There is a team of doctors that went from the ISKCON congregation of Bombay, which was there immediately when the Nepal incidents were happening to serve the devotees, to serve the victims. And the local ISKCON devotees in Nepal, they were distributing food, prasadam, spiritual food, not just for the body but for also the soul. So we are very, very enthused and would like to serve and also would like to pray actually about let us speak of Lord Jagannath, that the sufferer, those who have to undergo a suffering, those who lost their loved ones, the Lord should give them the strength to go over this and also help them to come over in a spiritual and auspicious way. So please make sure you also participate in the MCI 5K run, and ISKCON Bloomington is also going to support that wonderful activity. So having said that, now we are going to do the Artik, and as I said, after the Artik, there will be around 4 to 5 wonderful performances that will be happening. So those of you who were, I know of a few people, is Keurubai from Namaste Plaza here, and his family, they should be there, Mrs. Ragini, Amit Tiwari ji, and a few more names that I don't have a list, but I knew that 5, 6 people had sponsored. So please come right now to this table, and we will make arrangements. And those who would like to join can also go and participate in the Arctic ceremony. And the rest can, once His Holiness Romapada Maharaj begins, uh, I'll announce when you all can stand, because when the Lord is accepting Artik, you all should stand. And His Grace Ratha Prabhu will be singing Jagannath Ashtakam, a very beautiful rendition of prayers to Lord Jagannath. So if you hear very attentively, you can even repeat. And as some of you know, this is the Purushottam month. This is the most auspicious month which comes after almost every 3.5 quarter to 4 years. It's a very, very auspicious month of Purushottam. And on top of it, it's an Ekadashi day. And it is also the Ratha Yatra that we all. So it's a triple auspiciousness that we all are experiencing, special blessings. So please enhance your spiritual bank balance by on your heart singing when the Jagannath Ashtakam is being sung, and participate in some way, either clap or sing along or at least stand and I would say at least clap when we are doing that. And at this point, I would request the volunteers to make sure that our healthy plates are here. Is Srinivas over here? We can use one of the plates otherwise. Who you need? Muranga plates.
Come, you go. Yajit, you won't listen to me. అందుకోసం give it to me.
चित्कालिन्दे तत्तवेतिना सङ्गीततरावो मुधाभिरीनारे वाधनातमालस्व मधुपा शम्भो ब्रह्मा पति जगन्नाथ स्वामी नायना पतगामी जगन्नाथ स्वामी नायना पतगामी जय सवेमी शिरसी के पुच्छं कटिताते फूलमे क्रांते सारतात्तं ददते सदा तले काले दानवासतु लपचाय. Since everybody can stand, we are not going to perform our physical actions. Swami Nayana Tatagami Nambo Destire Amataru Chine Nila Shukare Vasana Prasadanta Saraja Balabhadre Galina Subhadra Madhyasta Sakala Sura Seva Prasada Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Saratumi Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Saratumi Paravara Sajala Jalagaste Chira Ramavani Rama Puradamala Pante Kamuka Surendra Raja Putrana Sikadita Parita Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Saratumi Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Saratumi Arunadaksha Padmilita Bhute Nachakale Jadurbalam Tajpadamupakaram Nasadaya Jaya Sindur Bandhu Sakya Jagatam Sindhu Sutaya Jagannath Swami Nayana Patagami Saratumi Jagannath Swami Nayana Jagannatha Swami Katha Bhavatme Jagannatha Swami Katha Bhavatme Rache Ham Ramam Kapala Janatamyam Yavado Rache Ham Kapala Janatamyam Yavado Sada Kale Kale Kata Padina Katarika Swami Nayana Patagami Bharatumi Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bharatumi Rattam Sansaram Bhutakaram Asaram Svapate Rattam Papanam Vipatim Jadavapate Odinate Charananikitam Nistitamidam Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatmi Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Bhavatmi Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Jagannatha, Baladevaje Subhadra, Jagannatha, Baladevaje Subhadra, Prabhupada Jai Prabhu, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की Srila Prabhupada ki. Lord Premanande.
So will I have to stay bare feet for my dance?
Hare Krishna. Jai Jagannath. Thank you very much, Rati Prabhu and the whole Kirtan team for such a wonderful rendition. And thank you all for performing the artik. Though if you have done it, you can take the plates back. You can take the plate with you. I mean, it's for yourself. But just you can keep the lamps to in the same counter. They'll help you with taking care of it. And you can take the banana and the plates. So with this, we move to the next part of our program. We will start the cultural aspects of this wonderful presentation. I'm going to request Shilpa ji to be your compare for the next 45 minutes. She'll take you through the various events that are outlined and how you can enjoy them. And little later, I will come back. We are going to have a final darshan for all of you, wherein after the cultural events, all of you will get an opportunity to come forward, form a queue, and take close darshan of their lordships. And then there will be Boga Mahaprasadam that will be given. You can take a Mahaprasadam box for your home, and then you can proceed to the actual dinner box that will be served there. I'll